Hi folks, it's Eric Gardiner with HeyEric.com and BLACKWELL Realty Group. In today's video, we're going to go over the numbers for November 2020 to 2021 and also talk about what the Fed's doing to put the brakes on inflation. Thanks for joining me. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. So let's dive right in. We're looking at November last month, 2020 to 2021. So you can see here on the screen that total sales, which is supply, is down about 12%. Last year we had 3,459 units. This year we have 3,000 units. It's important to note that December is usually a little bit slower, but it's really interesting that December 2020 was so hot and heavy with that many units. Next, list price and sold price, both up about 30%. So November of 2020 was really hot. It was really going. Lots of people decided they were going to move because there was such a pause in Q2 and Q3 when COVID was announced. Now that we're in November of 2021, things have definitely eased a little bit. Not that the brakes have been hit, but people are starting to normalize, I think. We've seen that with listings. We've seen that with just supply and demand. There's still definitely a supply problem, but I think it's coming back to where it was to pre-pandemic levels for sure. So 30% increase in sold price. So that's 30% increase in equity for these owners. And we've seen that, last year, typically it was a 23% increase across the Wasatch Front. This particular month, it was crazy. It was 30%. So great if you bought a home last year. Days on market, pretty flat from 7 to 8. Not much of a change there. Total supply as of today, December 3rd, is about just under 2,000 homes, which is pretty close to last month. It was 2,410. This month it's just the 2,000. So still a seller's market, definitely a seller's market. It's less than a month of supply. That's definitely a seller's market. There's not enough supply. There's still big buyer demand. And why is that? Well, the Fed is still doing stimulus. They're still got rates super low. They're still pumping money in the economy. They're still buying bonds. When the pandemic first started, they dropped the rates. They increased bond purchases to $120 million per month. They've already put the brakes a little bit on the bond purchasing by $15 million per month. This recent article that I just read in the Wall Street Journal, Randall Quarles, who's a Fed governor, who's actually, this is the end of his term. So I always think when people are going out of office, maybe they're a little bit more honest. Maybe they're not worried about politics at that point. He says that it's possible fiscal stimulus over the past years had boosted demand to levels that might exceed the pre-pandemic trend. So things to note. We do things to stimulate the economy to increase demand because people, they get scared, so they stop buying homes, they stop buying consumer goods, they stop buying services. So you increase demand. The Federal Reserve artificially increases demand by putting money in the economy and lowering rates, enticing people to spend. So he's saying the demand is there back to pre-pandemic levels. This is not a question of demand at pre-COVID levels and supply taking a while to reach back up to that pre-COVID capacity, but rather we have sustained higher demand. This is not really a bottleneck story anymore. The Fed needs to bring supply and demand into balance by raising interest rates to cool off the economy until businesses create more productive capacity to meet higher levels of demand. So he's saying we don't have demand issues now, we have supply issues. So we need to put the brakes on demand by increasing rates, slowing bond purchases, things like that. Therefore, we should respond more quickly to constrain that demand. They mentioned they're already easing the bond purchases that I mentioned. Sounds like they're going to decrease $30 million per month, so it should be done by early Q2 of 2022. Not sure what's going to happen to rates. We haven't had a lot of clear direction from Chairman Powell yet about that. But just a little bit of understanding of what the market's doing, how real estate and the Fed and all that works into it. Thanks for joining me. If you have questions, go to my website, heyeric.com. There'll be more information in the blog post there, and you can also subscribe to our newsletter there. Thanks.